Okay, that's awesome. Hello everybody, this is class 1 of grade 11 biology, SBI3U. Before I start, I will be uploading all of this onto YouTube because apparently the academy wants me to do it. So people that misses a class, you can actually go ahead and re-listen and see what we did. Alright, so today is not too long of a class, it's pretty short. And it's just to get us started, and we gotta talk a little more about biology. So grade 11 biology is mainly made up of 5 units. We're gonna learn about diversity, evolution, genetic, and internal systems and plants. We will be going over what you basically learn in grade 10 and grade 9 today. It's all about diversity, and it's kind of interesting. And I will go over the points that likely will be on your quiz and your test. Alright, let's get started. So, people know that there are 6 kingdoms. Well, I assume that most people does. So, this is how this has been arranged. And you actually don't need to know how it became this way. You just need to know what was the end result of it, which is basically only this part. You only need to know this part. You only need to know that we separated them into bacteria, archaea, and eukaryotic cells, which is pretty interesting. Now, 2 major cell types that we kind of look back on in grade 10. So, grade 10 you mainly focused on this. You had to remember the ribosomes and the cytoplasm or all of that. And then you barely looked into this. And I know all of this words is fuzzy. I intended that because now it looks like an actual bacteria. So, on the left, we have our prokaryotic cells, which only have very minimum features compared, especially if you compare to this one right here. That's got a whole pack of almost everything in there, and that is awesome. So most of us, and I say most of us because I'm uncertain who's gonna be looking at this. We're this type, all right. We are eukaryotic cells. We don't live off this. So this is only bacteria and archaea, as you know. It has RNA instead of DNA. That's the biggest difference, and you gotta know. It's not too hard. Now, kingdom characteristics. So you are actually going to be tested on this. So jot this down somewhere on your notebook or on a document. You actually kind of need this. So they will test you on all of this. So except for the example. Well, I'm not convinced. I'm not sure if they put one of this on there, but you're going to have to know everything else. So let's go over it. Bacteria and archaea, these are the two kingdoms out of the 3. There are 2 examples. Their cell type is prokaryote cells, and they're unicellular, so they're just by themselves. Now, we don't test too much on archaea. It's mainly focused on bacteria. And if you just get rid of it out of this unit, you're not gonna ever learn about bacteria ever again. So you don't need to know too much of this, but you do need to remember. All right, peptidoglycan. It's some random words that came from Latin. It's usually that. Now, nutrition. These are basically the same thing, and their production is asexual. They don't mate, unfortunately. Now, eukaryotic cells we're probably much more familiar. So we have plants, fungi, and animals, protists. Now, I know protist is first on this, but I named it last because you kind of just throw everything that don't belong in this, and this, just all in protists, you know? If something doesn't belong as a plant, something doesn't belong as a fungi, and something isn't an animal, I'm putting it as a protist. So, amoeba, maple tree, mushroom, rabbit, for eukaryotic cells, we do expect you to at least, hopefully, know one example of each. So, I'm assuming the only hard part is a protist, because you probably heard of all of this, and you worked with all of them. So, eukaryotic cells, unicellular and multicellular. So, these types are weird, as I said. It's really weird. They don't classify as anything. They're just protists. Multicellular, and mostly multicellular. Now we say that because there are so much mushrooms, and sometimes some mushrooms might even be considered as a plant or protist, but mainly as a protist because it's just weird. Cell materials, cellulose, often none. This you have to know. This you have to know because that's like a foundation of I think Unit 5. And then this you don't have to know. And animals, you are expected to know this, alright? We don't have any cell wall inside of us. And if you actually learn in grade 9 and 10, we hope you learned about this, alright? Now we're actually going to talk about sexuality and the primary means of production first. So this is kind of important, alright? And you're definitely going to be given each one of this on your tests or quizzes. It's a compare and contrast question. They always do that. I don't know why, but they always do the compare and contrast question. They just love it. And yeah, sexual, and asexual and sexual. I told you these ones are weird, alright? Protists, they could, if ever you get a multiple choice about this, you're just gonna be like, hey, you know what? Yeah, the most messy one, the one that looks the dumbest, it's probably protist. Like, protist is everything and anything. Alright, so autotrophs and heterotrophs, these are basically, autotrophs are organisms that can make their own food, and heterotrophs, they gotta hunt for food, alright? They gotta get their food from other organisms. Now, we are heterotrophs, fungi are, plants, they make their own food, and glucose, that's glucose, and protists, some of them make glucose as well, so some of them are actually autotrophs. Now, we're gonna talk about types of diversity, as I introduced earlier. So, there are 3 types of diversity. Species diversity, which is probably the one that you know the most because, we are diverse, we have animals, dogs, cats, all of this different type. That's diversity right there. Genetic diversity, this is going to be talked about a lot in in unit 2 because that is genetics unit. And ecosystem diversity, I remember doing this in grade 8, alright? So don't even lie, you probably know so much about this, even more than I do. Now, species diversity, more species led to a efficient ecosystem and more biomass production and better resistance to invasion and disease. Now, all of this you probably learned in grade 9 and 10, but I'm going to talk about it more. So basically, you have more species, you're going to be able to get more food sources. So if I were a tiger living on an island by myself, I don't have any food source except for maybe fishes that come by near the ocean. But somehow, if magically fish reproduces and it attracts more of these predators, it attracts some birds or something, and then birds attract other predators, and essentially this island starting having more diversity of different organisms. Me as a tiger, I might be more happy because I can eat more. Funny. Now, more biomass production, that is true. We get more food and there's just literally more biomass. And then resistance to invasion. So essentially, you're having multiple food sources. So if one of your food sources disappears, sure, yeah, your population is going to get a hit, but it's not going to be as significant as if there wasn't any food sources and you were just going extinct. See, all of these are species diversity. I can't classify that. That's a hippo, that's a bear, And frogs, there's different type of colors, different type of habits, they all change. There's the gold one, there's the green one, and the normal one, yeah. Alright, genetic diversity as a unit to foreshadow, it's diversity within a population, and basically that's referred to a gene pool. The number of different genes within a species is always greater than within a population. I think that just makes sense for everybody, As a human being, let's just say a species, alright? So let's say I'm Asian, so I'm gonna be like, hey, Asians. Let's say there's only 2 hair colors or 2 eye color possible for Asians. That is a population, alright? That is a population. And then when we look at humans as Homo sapiens, as an entire species, we could have all sorts of different eye color, like green, brown, yellow. We're variant here. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of choices we can choose from. Again, diversity leads to better disease resistance and prevention of extinction. So, essentially, the more diverse you are, the better you are at preserving these. You have lower chance of going extinct. Simple. It's compound. See, we have our lovely little rice friends over here. White, black, brown, mixed. That's a little gold one, and that is a brown one. See, all of them varies in color, and this is our hair color. I know some of this aren't natural. Actually, I think this is natural. That is natural. That is natural. That is natural. That is natural. I do not know about that. I have never seen these three hair colors are going so rare and it's like almost extinct. Like I know people died to become it, but like people dye their hair to be these colors, but I think they don't exist that much naturally. Like gingers and purple, I mean reddish purple hair, that's really really rare. Now eye color, see all of this. If you're looking at only Asians, you're probably looking at only these two. But like if you're looking at humans as an entire, that's a whole bunch of selection you can pick from. See the size also. Actually no, I think the size is just because of you're taking this picture. All right, ecosystem diversity. All right, ecosystem is it's quite important. It's actually it is very very important. So ecosystem is the consistence it consists of biotic and abiotic factors. So we are part of this ecosystem, and maybe your desk is also a part of this ecosystem, and the laptop you're using to listen to this lesson, it's also a part of this ecosystem. So everything around you and including you, that is part of the ecosystem. All right, so we actually don't we actually don't have that much um diversity at this point. So we kind of need all of these diverse stuff. They exist for our region. All right. So ecosystem provide many services to our planets. All right. So I gotta tell you that this ecosystem diversity is just literally going down. All right. We have um Brazil rainforest. All right. The Brazilian rainforest. It produced 30% of our oxygen before 1960s, and I think little amount of people actually heard about it. So what happened there? Well, our dear friend McDonald's cut them down, and well, I guess at least we have McDonald's now. So now, plankton and algae produces the most oxygen, up to my knowledge. So ecosystem they just provide so much of these supplies: gas, water, food, pollination, erosion. They just if humans are living in like let's say a non-living environment, an ecosystem that doesn't have biotic factors and abiotic factors that helps it with this, we're probably dead. Now, why is this diversity important? We have a video that you probably should watch on your free time, and I will put this video down in the description. But I'll go over it. So, economic value, um, diversity is actually very valuable, right? So, some of the tigers that and some of the elephants in the African continent, and some of the stuff in Australia, they're really rare. All right, and I heard that some people sell an elephant tooth for like almost $70,000, and it's like really really rare. All right, now ecological life support that's literally just it right there. Some of us rely on different food sources. If let's just picture that we are all animals, some of us, we need water to survive. Or let's say some of us, we need something like we need another food source and they rely on water. So essentially, they're providing us with this entire food chain. Cultural values. So there's so much of us that is based on the environment and the ecosystem that it's literally becoming a part of our culture. So I am in Ontario right now, and then we learned so much about the First Nations. I'm sure everybody did, and then their value is actually heavily based on the land and environment. Now recreational, it's simple, man. We're looking at species that could go extinct, and we could maybe use this land to, or use this land. We use this land for like factories, but they could use this land to literally build us a entire new kingdom or an entire new species. It's just really interesting. Scientific value, it's obvious. We get to learn and look at all of this. And negative value, I don't have no idea. I have no idea what that means. That sounds confusing to me. Now, I know this picture looks very ideal, but this everything besides this globe, that's probably real. Now we're gonna look at different type of diversity. We have red panda. These are all type of forest animals, I'm pretty sure. Now, a sneak peek into next class, bacteria. So when I was a kid, I didn't know that bacteria actually look like this. I thought it was like the thing, parents just go around and tell you lies so they can scare you. So be like, hey, don't be sick. You gotta drink water or you're gonna be sick and you're gonna get all of these things inside of your lungs. And then I realized it's actually real. Anyways, so that is it for class 1. YouTube folks, I would be happy if you all want to tell me whether you want to watch this, like 2 class combined in 1, because the class is pretty short. Alright? And that is it.